Oops. Hello, everyone. Welcome to. I can't even what I want to say. I'm just kidding, you guys. My name is Salita McCall, and as you know, I'm a licensed producer. Maybe you don't, which is also considered Mississippi, Georgia, and Texas. And I am with Globe Life Family Heritage Division. Okay. Now, I'm excited to bring some great news to you. I'm going to share some great information with you if you let me. Okay. I'm going to try to be short and sweet, but I know me because I get so excited and get caught up not to do that. Okay. So if you see down at the bottom of the screen and the ticker, it says 347-677, excuse me, 318-446-3774. That is the number to call me when we finish with this if you're interested. Okay. Now, I'm very serious about what I do, but I'm not always a serious person because I think you should have fun with the things that you take on in your life. Okay. Now, first of all, I want to share with you 8 things, or yeah, two main things. One of them, we have 4 programs that I'm going to talk about. Okay. Now, those 4 programs, the cancer, heart, accident, and ICU, which you know is intensive care unit. Okay. Those then we have 4 plans that I'm not going to go deep into, but I'm just basically letting you know. We have one called Elite 8. We have Preferred 4. We have Standard 2. And we have Basic 1. Okay. Those are the plans, and these are the programs. Somebody probably knows somebody who has cancer, who's had probably had an heart attack, and somebody who probably knows who's had an accident and probably had to go into ICU. So, with all 4 of those in place, guess what we can do for you? Okay. First of all, I want to talk about cancer. I'm going to use cancer as my catalyst so that we can uh, get a good feel of what's going on. So I'm going to use cancer, and then I'm going to use the Elite 8 as the plan and the program. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about cancer. I'm going to share cancer with you, and then I'm going to go into how we can benefit. According to the American Cancer Society, cancer will occur in 3 out of 4 families. Cancer has no favorites. It's 1 in 3 men, 1 in 3 women, and it's the second. What do I want to say? It's the second leading cause of death in children to accidents. Let me say that again. It's second to the cause of death in children. This year, it will occur 1.7 million new cases of cancer. All right. Now, some cancers, such as breast, prostate, ovarian, can be hereditary. However, nearly half comes from the environment. Okay. Right now, Louisiana is number 1 in cancer, and I'm in the state of Louisiana. So you know it must be very important for us to talk about these programs. Okay, especially, like I said, the cancer one. So when we talk about the environment, we're talking about air, food, water, air. As you know, there are crops here. So we have bean crops, we have all kinds of crops here. So what we do is, you know that we have crop dusters that do all the spraying, pesticides, okay? When you talk about food, you used to a chicken usually take 8 weeks to grow. Now it only takes 4 weeks to grow. So you automatically know it's being shot up with hormones. It's probably, and I'm a chicken lover. I love chicken. Yeah, I love chicken. Okay. Water. Some people are dealing with brown water. Okay. Work. Louisiana is known for its gas and oil industry. We also have what we call creosote plants here in this area alone. Um, and when you talk about home, you talk about the paint, lead paint, even though lead paint is prohibited to be used in housing, but in some places they still have lead paint, excuse me. And then you think about all the chemicals we use when we use our cleaning agents, right? That has a lot to do with some of our cancers. Matter of fact, it says nearly half. Okay. While cancer is on the rise, the good news is 6 out of 10 people will survive cancer. Now, if you go to your local hospital, that number drastically decreases. Okay. Keep that in mind. But if you have an opportunity to go to one of the cancer centers across America, you have a um, you're likely going to be able to survive whatever cancer there is that you have. Okay. Now, cancer is an expensive disease. It costs us in the United States $226 billion. Okay. For you to have cancer, $226 billion. Now, cancer and heart and accident has two kinds of cost. They all have what we call direct costs. It's called direct cost. That's one. And with direct costs, that covers direct cost is going to cover your doctor, the hospital, and some of your medication or medical charges. Oops. Okay, that's what your direct cost is going to be. So let's talk about the indirect cost. Okay. So you want to know what indirect cost is? So what do you consider indirect cost? If direct cost is doctors, hospital, medicine, medical charges, what do you think your indirect cost is going to be? Let me give you some hints. Let me throw something at you here. You live in a house, right? So you got a mortgage, you rent, right? You got an apartment or a house you rent. You have to have insurance on both those, right? You drive a car, right? So you got a car note. Some do, some don't. And then you got insurance. What else would you think would be an indirect cost? Let me see. Let's think. Indirect costs, um, food, because children, that's child care. Let's think of some insurance things that the insurance is not going to pay for. What do you think? In-home care could be an indirect cost. In-home care. I'm sorry. Uh, Utilities. So that's what we consider indirect cost. House mortgage, rent, insurance, car note and insurance, food, child care, in-home care, utilities. Okay, those are what we call indirect cost. Okay, now, so if $226 billion for cancer, 103 billion is direct cost. The most you're going to pay is definitely going to be more over here, which is 103, 23 billion. I'm sorry, 123 billion. So you're spending, this is a lot more than this, right? A lot more. Okay. So next, let's get into indirect costs. Let's go a little bit deeper into indirect costs. Now, with indirect costs, say you have found out that you have been diagnosed with a cancer, okay? And you go to your doctor and you're being devastated right now because it's news that's out that's just like news that's devastating you. You don't know how to handle this news. Okay? So that time you're going to take off from work, and say you're married and your husband has to take off or your wife has to take off because they're comforting. You're going to need them more than ever. You can't go on as everything is normal. It doesn't work that way, okay? Especially something as devastating as being diagnosed with cancer. So that's loss of income, and it could be savings, okay? Then let's talk about living expenses, and this is still talking about your indirect costs. Your housing cost, your food, your child care, your utilities. Okay? Those are, because utility company, just because you found out you have cancer, they're not going to say, okay, we're sorry you got cancer. You don't have to pay your bill. It's not going to happen. Okay? Then we talk about insurance limitations. Remember, I talked about in-home care. They're not gonna pay. Let's talk about who takes care of that bill. So when we say doctor, hospital, and medical charges, right? I want to clarify this. We're talking about Blue Cross, okay? Blue Shield. I'm just putting that there. Blue Cross, Blue Shield. We got Aetna, United Health. Okay, these would be the ones who take care of that for you if you have health insurance. Everybody doesn't have health insurance. So this is very, very important. If you don't have health insurance, you have this. Not to say this substitutes for it, it's a supplement, it's an addition to whatever you already have. And if you don't have nothing, that's fine. It won't matter. Okay. Now, so when you say limitation on insurances, We're talking like your copays, your deductibles. Um, your insurance company is not going to pay that. Those are things that you have to pay for, period. Everybody knows when you go see a doctor, you have to pay a copay, right? You have to meet a deductible, right? So those things you're going to have to maintain those, okay? Out of pocket expenses, okay? So that's travel. So you're gonna have there's possibility, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, but there's a possibility that you will be doing some traveling. So you have to take care of food, lodging, those type of expenses are gonna have to come out of your indirect cost. All right. So keep that in mind. So I ask you, which one would be more important to you or one that you would be more concerned about? Would it be loss of income and savings, your living expenses, your limit insurance limitation, or your out-of-pocket expenses? So for me, I think the loss of income and the out-of-pocket expenses would be a concern to me. I was talking to a young man about the cancer. I went to his home and I said to him, I told him who I was, Salita McCall. I'm with Global Life Family Heritage Division, and I go around the community talking about cancer, heart, and accident. So he says to me, I wish you would have came around 3 days earlier. So I said, why is that? He says, because I was just diagnosed with cancer. And I said, I'm sorry to hear that. But I would have been it would have been better if I would have came by 31 days ago. But I wasn't even in this business then. So there was no way I could help him. So with that, so we knew he had cancer, so I couldn't help him here. And I even couldn't help him here. Do you understand why I couldn't help him here? You know why I couldn't help him here on heart accident in ICU? Because this would affect his income. Because he just got devastating news that he had cancer. He didn't know how he was going to pay for everything because I actually went through the presentation with him and it came out. He didn't know how he was going to pay for this. That was devastating to me because I couldn't help him either way to have anything coming in because this he was not prepared for. And this is why it's so important to be prepared. Okay? He was not prepared for cancer and what it entails. He was still in the shock mode. So I cannot reiterate and how important it is because these things have to still be taken care of. So now, when is a time when loss of income and savings, living expenses, insurance limitations, and out of pocket expenses become a reality at a time like this? Usually, when it occurs, no backup plan, no way to prepare yourself for it. So, without that backup plan, you're not prepared. If you have an ideal, say that you're not the one who has cancer right off the bat, but you know cancer runs in your family, you know heart runs in your family. Everybody has accidents. You know this. So why not be prepared? Why not already have something in place for that? I it would help out so much. Okay. So what happens to your regular expenses once you get the shocking news that you have cancer? You know now, you got to still maintain. You got to maintain all these things. They have to be maintained. Utilities, childcare, food, car notes, and house notes has to continue to be maintained. But if you have to take time off from work, That's a loss of income. So what happens to your income? Your income loss, it goes down. And then when your income goes down, again, these still have to be paid. Your expenses go up. Okay? Now, your regular expenses are here. And now you have more expenses because you have your out of pocket expenses and everything else is going to start piling up on top of here. You going back and forth for your treatment, right? So when this happens, what happens to the budget? The budget has a crunch. And it's not the same. So sometimes we have to go into our savings, our retirement. We even have to tell our only child or our one of our children, hey, I know it's time for you to go to college, but we're going to have to hold that off. Or you're going to have to go ahead and work because we did save up the money for your college funds. We have to use it because of our serious illness, your dad or my serious illness. Okay. And then we go into our retirement. We're not ready to retire, but we have to go borrow against we have to pull out some of our money when you don't really want to. But these have to be maintained regardless. They have to be maintained at all times. Okay. So then sometimes people go off and start selling off their assets. One lady, when she goes to her treatments, she has to do, she sells dinners. You have people who do GoFundMe accounts. You got people who, families actually take turns paying bills of one family member who's taking care of another family member who has cancer. So everybody takes turn paying their bills. But you don't have to do that if you knew about these plans. If you knew, excuse me, about these programs, you wouldn't have to do that. And this is why I do this, okay? Because I think it's so important. Okay, when they sell off some people have to sell their homes and start renting. They don't want to, but they have to because the bills get so overwhelming. So they sell their homes, their personal property, their cars, just so that they can maintain. And it's sad, but it's true. People do this. And the answer to this, to the selling off items, to maintaining your indirect cost, maintaining everything here, even though you covered here, maintaining that is the ideal that you can have a supplement in place for that. This supplement helps protect the family, the assets, and the future. Okay? And that's why Globe Life Family Heritage developed what we call the Cancer Care Program. What happens is the health insurance pays for this, and that's to keep them in business while we keep you in business. The Globe Life Family Heritage pays to any addition to any other insurance you already have. You can have Aflac, you can have Colonial, you can have American General, whatever all these other names, you can have them and still have these programs. It doesn't matter because we don't have anything to do with those other programs or your health insurance. Okay? We take care of you by putting money in your pocket so you can maintain right here. Okay? It provides coverage, excuse me, for you and your entire family because of these four plans. And we will talk about those later on. This is from one of our policyholders in Kansas. He has what we call the Elite Plan, and we've paid out $48,799. He says to get the cancer policy through Family Heritage was one of the best decisions I've ever made. When I was diagnosed with cancer, Family Heritage was there to help me in defraying the costs of the diagnosis and travel, not to mention helping toward my monthly treatment cost. It's been more than 5 years now, and they've never missed a monthly payment. I can't thank them enough. Okay. So we paid him $48,799. We have another one, another policyholder, and she's from Texas. And she also has the Elite 8. And we paid her $19,593. She says, never thought we would use the insurance, but premium was reasonable. In 2011, my husband was diagnosed with leukemia with oral chemo. It is manageable. His chemo drugs are $11,000 a month. We have Medicare, which does not cover all the cost. Insurance helps. In 2013, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. So you see how important it is for the idea that they have a couple plan under the Elite, and they've already been paid $19,593 already, okay, under this plan right here. Now, do you understand the full extent of what can happen on a scale like that? So, there are many reasons people choose Globe Life Family Heritage Division. It's simple, affordable, and it's an easy decision. Okay? We have an A plus superior with Better Business Bureau. We have an A plus superior also with A and B Best. And we have over 13 million policyholders. You can't have that many policyholders and have a A plus status and not be what you are, and not have these work, and not have these pay out. Doesn't make any sense. So let's talk about the benefits, because I know you're ready for that, right? The Cancer Care Plus benefits. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you from the Elite plan only for right now. And then I'm going to show you an example. All right? So, first of all, when you first get diagnosed with cancer, okay, your first occurrence, we pay you $6,000. First occurrence. That means your first diagnosis. We pay $6,000. And that's for internal cancer. If you have skin cancer, we pay you 2,000, 1,200. I'm sorry. So on the first occurrence, you will get $2,700. That's the first occurrence. Hospitalization, say you have to go to the hospital and they say, well, we need to keep you. And we might need to keep you, we're going to keep you for 1 week. You go into the hospital, we pay $800 per day. Yes, per day. Now, if you're in the hospital for 1 week, 800 times 7 equals to $5,600 per week. That's how much you would make. Not make, but that's how much we would pay you. Again, this goes directly to you. That's 5,608, 7,200 right here, both of them. Now, when it comes to ambulance, say that they have to put you in an ambulance and take you somewhere. That's $1,200 each trip. Say you have to be transported from one place in an ambulance, then you have to be transported back. That's $2,400 in an ambulance. You know how much it costs to transport in an ambulance? It's expensive. Surgery and anesthesia. No lifetime limits, you guys. Up to $2,400. Second surgical opinion. We had a second opinion because my husband has cancer. We had a second opinion. That's $2,000. $2,000 for a second opinion. Reconstructive breast surgery. We pay $1,200 per breast or $2,000 for both breasts. $2,400. I apologize for that. $2,400 for both breasts. Leukemia bone marrow transplant. We pay $30,000 for that. $30,000. You have a donor. We pay your donor $6,000. So that's $36,000 is paid out. That goes directly to your donor. The $6,000 goes directly to your donor. You can't get it. The $30,000 goes to you. Okay. Your medical insurance may cover many of these bills. This money comes directly to you to use any way you see fit. So this comes to you, and whatever you want to do with it, you can do with it. Radiation and chemotherapy treatment. We pay $480 per administration. Self-administered in chemotherapy, that's the patch or the pill. We pay $400 per administration, up to $48,000. Once it gets to the limit of $48,000, it suggests you go back into the hospital. Wellness benefits. Every year, you have to have a wellness checkup. We pay you $240. Again, along with $6,200, $5,600, $240. Now, for a mammogram, $144. We have a mammogram done every year. Pap smear is $120. Okay. Just by chance that you're at a point where there's a decision that needs to be made and you wind up in hospice care, we pay $200 per day for hospice up to $36,000, and that's about 6 months. Most of the time when you are transported or transferred to hospice, 6 months is a number. I don't know how else to say it, but 6 months is a number. Okay. Now, do you have any questions? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Do you get what I'm talking about? Do you know how important it is to be covered, to have a supplement? So I would like to ask you, so far, what do you like? The ideal that we directly pay to you, the no lifetime limit, or the coverage itself, the benefits? Okay. I'm more I'm more toward the money coming to me. The no lifetime limits is important too, but the money coming to me. Now, where you get treated for cancer can increase your chance of survival. Okay. So we have cancer treatment centers all across America. We have one in New Orleans. You have the St. Jude's in Memphis. You have Duke University. You have the Mayo Clinic. You have MD Anderson in Houston, Texas. I'm only naming the ones I can think off the top of my head that I remember where they're at. Um, okay. Now, out of town travel. Just so happen you have cancer, you have to go out of town. I'm going to use Louisiana and I'm going to use MD Anderson. I'm not knocking any of the cancer centers here, but I look at MD Anderson because it's the number one in the country for cancer. And I like that. Okay. So let's say that you had to go to MD Anderson. Let's say you're from Louisiana. Okay. Depending on where you live at here, Houston is about 4 or 5 hour trip one way. So once you get there, say you leave early in the morning, get there, you don't just directly see the doctor. You know that, right? You're going to have to go get labs done. You're going to have to go do MRIs. You're going to have to do body scans. You're going to have to do the whole 9 yards, right? By the time you finish doing all of those, then you see the doctor. Now, say that you go see the doctor, okay, and he says to you, guess what? You're going to have to stay. We have some more tests we want to run, and you're going to have to stay. So, what do you do then? Remember, we were talking about the out of pocket expenses? That comes into play. The out of pocket expenses start to come into play, excuse me. Because you've already traveled one way, you got to turn around and go back the other way. So it's actually a 10-hour, excuse me. Yeah, it's about 10-hour drive. But you have to stay overnight, and you know that money is important. So when you went on the trip the first time, you have to know to be prepared just in case. This is why these are important, because those fall up under the indirect cost. You take someone with you, so you eat, say you have to stay, and that's 3 meals. Okay, you're staying. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for your wife or your companion or whoever you brought with you or your husband, right? So that's 3 meals. Excuse me, I'm sorry, that's 6 meals that has to be paid for. Then let's talk about lodging. If you know anything about Houston, Houston's a big, fancy city to a certain extent. Okay. Very innovative, very on top of a lot of things. You know, if you go downtown, you don't know, but if you go downtown to get a hotel, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you from 100 to 175, 180 for a room. Okay. How about we talk about the ideal that we have a part of this Cancer Care Plus that takes care of your transportation. It is what we call the peace of mind part or section of the program. Now, if you had to fly, bus, or train, okay, we pay you up to $2,500 to travel. And just so happen you wanted to drive, we pay 60 cents a mile. Okay? Now, if you have someone going with you, we pay up to $2,500 for plane, train, okay, or bus. And we also pay 60 cents a mile for them. Okay? Now, we talked a little bit just a few minutes ago about lodging. I said it might cost between 100, 150, 175, 180 for a room, right? You got to come out of your pocket for that. So when you go for your first treatment down to MD Anderson or whatever, you want to have money, not to just to get back home, but you want to have money on you just in case, what did I say, that you have to stay overnight. We pay you $200 for your nightly stay. Now, don't you think that sounds like something you would want to take care of you and whoever you have with you? You don't want to be stranded anywhere, especially somewhere you've never been before. So you have to plan out, you have to have a backup plan. You have to be able to have money in place just in case. Okay? Now, the only limitation to your cancer policy is that it can't be pre-existing. That's why I said get the policy first, and then if you have to go to a doctor, make sure it's 31 days or more before you actually go to the doctor and get diagnosed, so that we can put the first occurrence in your pocket. The same for the heart. Okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about ICU because I want to tell you what ICU does. ICU is a triple threat. It's what we call a triple threat because guess what? You can use ICU with accident, heart, and cancer. Okay? Now, when we talk about the heart, the only thing different about the heart and the cancer is that the heart, you get one transplant, and we pay $160,000 for a heart transplant. Hope that never happens to you, but that's what we pay. That's the only difference between the heart and cancer benefits. The thing that they have that's similar is both of these are 30-day waiting periods. These two are immediate. And that's important because you don't want to go to the doctor, you get your policy, and you go directly to the doctor before your 30 before the 30-day waiting period and get your diagnosis. We can't cover you. So it has to be 30 days. The same with your heart. 30 days. But with in ICU, it's immediate. Okay? So, I'm going to go over a little bit about the ICU, the accident. I'll go a little bit about that one, just a little bit. I'm not going to go deep into it, but I'm going to also, like I said, I'm going to use the Elite 8 plan with ICU. For any reason that you wind up in the ICU with this program, we pay $1,600 per day that you're in the hospital. Okay? up to 48,000. If you get into a car accident, we pay 3,200, which is $3,200, up to 96,000. If you get into a car accident and you wind up in ICU. Step down unit. Most of the time with step down units is when you have COVID and they've taken you out of ICU and they put you in a step down unit. That's between ICU and your regular room. They still monitoring you. They're still observing you, making sure you're all right. We pay, $1,200 for you to be in the step down room. Step down unit per day. 1,200. Okay. Ambulance, air, and accidental death. Ambulance, we pay $800. Um, for air ambulance, 2,000. This is all no lifetime limit. Let me say that again. No lifetime limit. As long as you pay your premiums, you're covered. Okay? Now, if by chance that you go rob a bank and get shot, we cannot help you. Okay? Any self-inflicted injury, pre-existing conditions, or vehicle accident, and any illegal activities, we cannot cover you on that. When I say vehicle accident, I'm talking about doing something you did something wrong. Okay? We can't cover you. So don't call us. Okay? We can't help you. I'm not trying to be mean or hateful or being very unemotional about it, but it's what it says. Every one of these have a limitation and exclusion to it. And with ICU can't be any illegal activities. Just can't. Okay? Now, before I say that part, I want to talk a little bit about accident. I told you about heart. The only difference in the policy between cancer and heart is that you have a heart transplant and you're only allowed one, and it's $160,000. Everything else is basically the same. When we talk about accident and injuries, let's see here. When you go to the emergency room, okay, we pay you $400 to go to the emergency room if by chance you have to go. There was one young man who cut his finger at work and he wound up at the urgent care. Well, one of the questions they asked him was, whatever the question was, he said he felt tingling in his fingers, in his hands. So they sent him over to the emergency room. Okay. So he got paid $400 for going to the emergency room, the urgent care, and then $400 for going to the emergency room. So that was $800 he got. Okay. Now, X-ray, digital motion X-ray, needle aspiration, laceration, punctured wound repair, administration of prescription medicine, tetanus shot, anti-venom if you get bit by a snake, treatment for poisoning, repair of damaged tooth, not dental work for just because you didn't take care of your teeth. This is if you hurt yourself, like you fall and hit your mouth. Okay. Removal of a foreign object from eye, casts, splints, braces, crutches, or second or third degree burn treatment. We cover that. Digital scan benefit, that's $400. Hospitalization, again, we go to the $800, and that's on all the policies. $800 per day, okay, on this program. Hospitalization plus is $3,200 in a time of emergency, which is $3,200. If you have to be put in the observation room, We pay $400 per day for that. Uh, Ambulance, 1,200. Air is 2,400. Dive, 10,000 under this plan. That's if you fracture. You get in an accident and you fracture your thigh, your upper arm is 4,000. Your wrist and ankle is 2,800. If you dislocate your hip or your shoulder, 6,400 for your hip and 2,560 for your shoulder. Surgery. If just by chance you have to get surgery, we pay $1,600 per day. Okay. Physical therapy, you go and say you did bust your leg, break your ankle. Physical therapy, that's $200 each time you go to your physical therapist. Concussion, that's $400. If you wind up in a coma, that's $4,000. Okay. Dismemberment, if you lose a leg, that's 20,000. I know this sounds like wow, you know. If you lose two of your legs, that's $40,000 directly to you. Let me say this again, directly to you. Accidental death benefit is 40,000. Family lodging again is $200 per day. And if by chance an accidental death, we send up to 5 children $20,000 per year for them to go to school. Okay? Families value these benefits because it helps provide the quality of care they want as opposed to what they can afford. Wouldn't this be a nice option to have all of this? What you think? Now, I just went over all of the programs little by little. Threw some out there to you. Just didn't want to go in depth on it because I didn't want it to take all day. So again, we had elite, preferred, for standard, 2, and basic 1. So I guess you're wondering, okay, now you told me about what all the benefits are and all that. How much is it going to cost me? First of all, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to use me as an example. And because I'm licensed in Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, and Texas, I'm going to do one from Louisiana because that's where I'm at. Now, I want to clarify something real quick. The ones that I'm going to use a cancer policy. Now, I have to do it as an individual because guess what? My husband already has cancer. I can't do heart with him as a couple because he had a massive heart attack. So those two exclude him. So I have to do cancer as an individual. So I'm getting ready to show you how much it would cost for me with premiums. Okay. My premium, and I'm going to use, since I've been using Elite 8, I'm going to use the Preferred 4 plan. Okay. So I fall under I think it's hold up. Oh, I didn't even get to the best part, you guys. I didn't even get to the best part. The best part is that there is return on premium on all of these. They are, some people say, why can't you do it in a bundle? Because when you have a return on premium on all 4 of those programs, that means you get a check for that one, you get a check for that one, you get a check for that one, you get a check for that. Wouldn't you like that? So Say we talked about the cancer, right? So what the return on premium is going to look like, I'm going to show you what the return on premium is going to look like. Real quick, I should have put that up at the top. The return on premium is going to be the whole amount of premium, okay? If you never use any of it, you get your whole amount back. That means if you never use your cancer policy, if you never use your heart policy, if you never use an accident policy, if you never have to use your ICU policy, you get all of it back. Now, if by chance you used it, whole amount of premiums, say you used about maybe 10,000. We minus that 10,000 off, and the rest is yours. Now, I guess you said, what is your whole amount of premium? That depends on which plan you go for, okay? Then, if it's at the point where your whole amount of premium is less than the amount that we paid you, you don't get anything back. If you used all of it on any of them, you get zero back. Which that makes sense because we've paid into it. I mean, you've already paid into it and you used it all. Doesn't mean that you no longer have the policy. Doesn't, because as long as you're paying the premiums, remember, you're still getting it. You're going to still get the benefits. The ones that say no lifetime limits, you're going to get those benefits. So that is something most of these type of programs do not offer, but we do. Okay? We offer a return of premiums. Now, with that, let's talk about, I'm going to give you a sample. I'm going to use me. So, I'm going to go over to the cancer and I'll use my cancer policy. And I'm going to go over where the age limit's at because we go by age. We group them by age, individual, couple, single parent, and family. Okay. And then when I finish that, I have a question for you. Okay. So I would fall up under the 56 to 60 age range. Okay. Now, because I just told you my husband has cancer and he has heart, so he doesn't qualify for neither one of them. But I qualify for cancer. So I'm going to look up under the cancer policy and I'm going to go under individual because I'm going to have to do individual. So I'm going to go for the preferred 4. As an individual, it's going to cost me $93 per month as an individual for the cancer policy under preferred 4, right? So let's go back and see. We're not going to go deep into it, but we're going to go enough so you can see what that covers. Remember, with the preferred 4 plan at $93 a month, I would get $3,000 for the first occurrence. Remember the first occurrence down here? It's half that. I get $3,000. Half of the $1,200. If it's skin cancer, I'll get $600. Okay, for that. For hospitalization, it's always the same. It's going to still be $800 if I have to stay in the hospital. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. That's wrong. It's half of that. Half of that is $400. Okay. Ambulance each trip is just going to be $600. If I have to get surgery, anesthesia, that's going to be $1,200. I'm sorry, $12,000. Second opinion, again, it's going to break it in half. That's going to be $1,000. Okay. Reconstructive breast surgery is going to be $600 per breast, $1,200 together for both. Okay. Leukemia bone marrow transplant is going to be half of $30,000, which is going to be $15,000. My donor would get $3,000 because that's half of the $6,000. Okay. Radiation and chemotherapy treatment. Under the elite, remember I said it's $480, it's $240 under the preferred standard. So that's going to be $240. Self-administered chemo is going to be $200 and it's up to $24,000. That's going to be $200 because remember under the elite it's $400. Wellness benefit is going to be half of $240, which is $120. My mammogram is going to be $72. My pap smear will be $60 because that's half of the $120. And my hospice will be $100 a day, opposed to the $200 up under the Elite 8. The lifetime, no lifetime limits on my transportation. All of that will steadily be the same. It will not change. The way I travel is going to be the same. Everything is going to be the same on that one. The only thing different is family lodging. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me reiterate that. On family lodging, instead of $200 a day, it'll be $100 a day. For the travel, when it comes to car, instead of 60 cents a minute, a mile, it'll be 40 cents a mile. So that's the difference in that. That's the difference in the preferred 4. And those numbers and fit amounts will go down lower. Okay. Now, I am not saying that, and that's just an example. That's just an example as an individual. Okay. How much that would cost me. Okay. At this level. And it's important to want to be, especially when it comes to cancer. You want to be in these 2 right here. Nothing wrong with using these down here. You want to be in these 2 right here when it comes to cancer and when it comes to heart. And I've written programs for heart at these 2. Because I'm not going to discourage you either way because I'm not in your pocket. I don't know what your budget is. So I can't discourage you. But having the full benefits of those two is awesome. So that right there are the programs, the plans, what direct cost, indirect cost is, understanding what no lifetime limits are, understanding return on premium is very, very important because it's what you're going to get back. One of our people actually got a check back this year in April of $22,000 because they had a cancer policy they did not use and they got it back. Okay. You can have as many policies as you want, it doesn't matter. You can have all four, you can have all three, you can have all two, you can have all one. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. What fits your budget and what you need for your family. And again, when it comes to return on premiums, if you never use any of these, you will get a check back for cancer, you will get a check back for heart, you will get a check back for accident, and you will get a check back for ICU. If you only get an ICU policy, you'll get a check back for ICU if you never use it. If you use it, it minuses whatever you used and they give the rest of it to you. That goes for all four policies. So I want to say thank you guys for hanging out with me with this information, sharing it with you. Definitely give me a call. My number to call me is 318-446-3774. If you live in Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, or Texas, because those are the places that I am licensed to do this work. Okay? To take care of you. All right? So thank you guys. Have a great evening. And bye-bye.